The threat that broke the internet. The transmission arrived at exactly 3:47 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on a Tuesday, hijacking every screen, speaker, and communication device across the planet. From the bustling streets of New York to the quiet villages of rural Japan, from the research stations in Antarctica to the International Space Station orbiting overhead, the message was impossible to ignore. A towering figure materialized on every display, its form both magnificent and terrifying. Standing nearly 12 feet tall, the being wore armor that seemed to absorb light itself, decorated with symbols that hurt human eyes to look at directly. Its face was angular, with 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, each glowing with the intensity of miniature stars. When it spoke, the words translated automatically into every human language simultaneously. People of Earth, the voice boomed with the weight of cosmic authority. I am Commander Vextar of the Celestial Dominion. Your species has been evaluated and found adequate for integration into our empire. You have 72 of your planetary rotations to surrender unconditionally. Resistance will result in complete orbital sterilization. Compliance will earn you the privilege of serving the greater cosmic order. The silence that followed lasted exactly 2.3 seconds. Then humanity did what it did best when faced with the impossible. It laughed. Sarah Chen was streaming live from her San Francisco apartment when the transmission interrupted her usual Tuesday tech review. She had been explaining the latest smartphone features to her modest audience of 30,000 followers when the alien commander filled her screen. For a moment, she sat frozen, staring at the otherworldly figure. Then, without missing a beat, she leaned forward and spoke directly to her camera. Okay, viewers, either someone just launched the most elaborate prank in human history, or we're about to get the worst customer service experience of our lives. She gestured at the now blank screen where Vextar's image had been. Did anyone else notice his armor looked like it was designed by a goth teenager with unlimited budget? And what was with those eyes? I've seen less dramatic lighting at a death metal concert. Her chat exploded. Within minutes, her viewer count jumped from 30,000 to 3 million. Screenshots of Vextar were already becoming memes. Someone had photoshopped him into a boy band poster. Another had given him a speech bubble saying, "Have you tried turning your planet off and on again?" Across the globe, the reaction was similar. In London, a street performer continued his comedy routine, incorporating the alien threat into his act. So an alien walks into a bar and says, "Surrender or die." The bartender says, "Sorry, mate, we're closed. Come back tomorrow." The crowd roared with laughter, many filming and uploading instantly. In Tokyo, a gaming cafe erupted in chaos as players incorporated the alien ultimatum into their trash talk. "You fight worse than species facing orbital sterilization," became the insult of the day. Memes flooded social media faster than government agencies could monitor them. At the Pentagon, General Martinez stood in the crisis room, watching feeds from around the world on dozens of screens. His aide, Lieutenant Thompson, approached with a tablet showing global social media trends. "Sir, #AlienKaren is trending worldwide. So is #VextarVskaren. There are already remix videos of the speech, set to dance music. Someone made a horror movie trailer using the footage, and it has 5 million views in 20 minutes. General Martinez rubbed his temples. He had spent 40 years in the military, serving through conflicts that demanded the utmost seriousness. Now he was watching his species respond to an existential threat by turning it into entertainment. "What about government responses?" he asked. "The president is meeting with the Joint Chiefs in an hour. Other world leaders are doing the same." "But sir," Thompson hesitated, "the public isn't waiting for official responses. They're creating their own." Meanwhile, aboard the Dominion flagship Eternus, orbiting just beyond Earth's moon, Commander Vextar stood in his command center, experiencing something his species had no word for: confusion. The massive display showed feeds from Earth's global communication networks And what he saw defied every model of conquest psychology the Dominion had developed over millennia. Report, he demanded from his intelligence officer, Sub-Commander Claytax. Commander, the humans appear to be mocking us. Their communication networks are filled with what our translators identify as humor directed at our ultimatum. They have created thousands of small visual representations of your image, altered for comedic effect. Vextar's 4 eyes narrowed. Explain. Claytax activated a holographic display showing various memes. They have placed your image alongside what appears to be their domestic animals. They have altered your speech to reference their commercial products. One particularly popular modification shows you demanding they surrender their Netflix passwords. What is a Netflix password? Our databases suggest it relates to their entertainment distribution systems, Commander. For the first time in his 3-century military career, Vextar was at a loss. The Dominion had conquered over 400 worlds. The pattern was always the same: ultimatum, fear, desperate negotiations, eventual submission or destruction. Never had a species responded to cosmic-level threats with creativity. Back on Earth, Dr. Priya Patel sat in her office at the University of Cambridge, frantically analyzing the alien transmission. As one of the world's leading xenopsychologists, she had spent her career theorizing about first contact scenarios. This was not what she had expected. Her phone buzzed with calls from news networks, government agencies, and academic institutions. But what fascinated her most were the social media posts streaming across her monitors. Humanity wasn't panicking. It was processing the threat through its most powerful coping mechanism: humor. She began documenting the phenomenon. Within 6 hours of the transmission, humans had created over 50,000 unique memes. The alien commander had been photoshopped into family photos, holiday cards, and dating profiles. Someone had created a dating app profile for him. Vextar, 300 plus, enjoys long walks on conquered planets and orbital sterilization, looking for a species to dominate. No time wasters. The psychological implications were staggering. Instead of triggering humanity's fight or flight response, the alien threat had activated something else entirely: the need to process trauma through comedy, to find light in darkness, to maintain social bonds through shared laughter even in the face of extinction. As night fell across different time zones, something unprecedented happened. Late-night talk show hosts across the globe coordinated their opening monologues. Jimmy Fallon in New York, Graham Norton in London, and variety show hosts from Seoul to Sao Paulo all opened with the same joke format, each adapted to their local culture but carrying the same message. So, aliens gave us an ultimatum today. My response: we're busy right now, but we'll get back to you. The global audience for these shows broke all records. For the first time in human history, the entire species was watching the same content simultaneously, united in laughter rather than fear. Aboard the Eternus, Vextar watched these broadcasts with growing bewilderment. His species, the Kethmori, had evolved beyond emotional responses millennia ago. They conquered through superior technology and psychological warfare, breaking enemy morale before deploying physical force. But humans weren't breaking. They were bonding. Sub-Commander, explain their behavior. Are they suffering from mass psychological breakdown? Claytax consulted his instruments. Negative, Commander. Biometric readings suggest they are experiencing elevated mood states. Their stress hormones are actually decreasing despite the threat level. It appears they are strengthening social connections through shared humor responses. That is impossible. Fear and humor cannot coexist. Respectfully, Commander, our psychological models may be incomplete when applied to this species. For the first time since assuming command, Vextar felt something approaching doubt. The Dominion's strength lay in their predictability, their ability to analyze and exploit the psychological weaknesses of other species. But humans seemed to have no predictable responses. As Earth's rotation brought a new day to different regions, the meme production only accelerated. Children were drawing pictures of the alien commander in crayon, making him look friendlier. Adults were creating elaborate conspiracy theories about the invasion being a publicity stunt for a new movie. College students organized surrender parties, where they dressed up as various sci-fi aliens and acted out dramatic conquest scenarios for laughs. Sarah Chen's follower count had exploded to 50 million overnight. Her impromptu response to the alien ultimatum had gone viral beyond anything she could have imagined. Major news networks were interviewing her as an expert on human response to extraterrestrial threats, despite her only qualification being that she was funny on the internet. "The way I see it," she told CNN, "if we're all going to die in 72 days, we might as well have fun with it. Besides, have you seen their ship? It looks like someone crossed a Gothic cathedral with a space vacuum cleaner. I'm not intimidated by bad interior design choices." The interview clip was remixed into dozens of songs within hours. EDM artists were sampling the alien commander's speech. Country singers were writing ballads about alien invasion blues. Hip-hop artists were creating diss tracks directed at the celestial dominion. General Martinez found himself in the surreal position of briefing world leaders about meme warfare. The emergency UN session had been interrupted 3 times by delegates sharing particularly clever alien-related jokes. The Secretary General had to remind the Assembly that they were discussing planetary survival, not comedy hour. The public response is unprecedented. Dr. Patel explained to the assembled leaders via video link. Humans are processing an existential threat through humor as a survival mechanism. It's allowing them to maintain psychological stability while actually strengthening social bonds. In psychological terms, they're turning a trauma response into a resilience response. President Williams leaned forward. "Dr. Patel, is there any strategic value to this response? Can we weaponize humor?" "Mr. President, I don't think we need to weaponize it. The aliens clearly expected fear, submission, and social breakdown. Instead, they're seeing creativity, unity, and defiance through joy. If their psychological warfare depends on predictable responses, we're already winning by being unpredictably human." As the first day after the ultimatum ended, Vextar stood alone in his private quarters, studying human cultural transmissions. His species had achieved perfection through order, logic, and the elimination of chaotic emotional responses. But watching humans transform a death sentence into entertainment, he began to question whether perfection might be overrated. The humans were showing him something the Dominion had never encountered. A species that grew stronger under pressure not through anger or desperation, but through the simple act of choosing joy in the face of darkness. For the first time in centuries, Commander Vextar smiled. When laughter becomes warfare. By day 3, the situation aboard the Eternus had deteriorated in ways the Celestial Dominion's military protocols had never anticipated. Sub-Commander Cletax entered the command center to find half the crew gathered around workstations, not monitoring tactical displays or weapon systems, but watching something called The Daily Show. "Commander," Cletax reported to Vextar, his voice carrying an unfamiliar quality that might have been embarrassment, "we have a problem." Vextar turned from his personal viewing screen, where he had been studying a particularly elaborate meme that depicted him as a cosmic customer service representative. "Specify." "The crew is becoming infected, sir. They're consuming human entertainment media." Ensign Threx spent his entire duty shift yesterday watching something called Brooklyn Nine-Nine. When I confronted him, he attempted to explain what he called a running gag about yogurt. And, "Sir," I found myself laughing. The admission hung in the command center air like a confession of treason. The Keth Mori had engineered humor out of their species 800 years ago, considering it a primitive emotional response that impaired logical decision-making. Yet here was his second-in-command admitting to experiencing the very emotion they had conquered. "How widespread is this infection?" Vextar asked. "Approximately 60% of the crew, Commander. They're sharing human jokes, attempting to recreate human entertainment formats, and..." Cletax paused, clearly struggling with his next words. Some have begun creating original humorous content. Back on Earth, what had started as spontaneous comedy was evolving into something more strategic. Dr. Patel had formed an unofficial team of psychologists, comedians, and social media experts. They called themselves the Laugh Track, and they were conducting the most unusual warfare in human history. Sarah Chen had become their unofficial spokesperson, her apartment transformed into a makeshift broadcast center. Major networks were carrying her daily Alien Update segments, where she provided commentary on the ongoing situation with a mix of genuine analysis and absurdist humor. Day 3. People, and still no sign of orbital sterilization. She announced to her global audience of over 200 million. Either they're really bad at scheduling, or they're too busy binge-watching our Netflix originals. Sources suggest the alien commander has been seen crying during episodes of Queer Eye. No confirmation yet, but honestly, who hasn't cried watching the Fab Five work their magic? The sources were actually intercepts from the Dominion ship, where human hackers had managed to tap into their communications networks. The technical team, led by a 19-year-old prodigy named Marcus Kim, had discovered that the aliens' advanced technology was surprisingly vulnerable to what he called chaos-based infiltration. Their systems are too logical, Marcus explained during a video call with General Martinez and Dr. Patel. They expect linear attacks, mathematical precision. So I'm sending them memes embedded with recursive joke algorithms. Their AI keeps trying to analyze the humor logically, creating processing loops that slow down their systems. You're telling me we're winning a war against advanced aliens with dad jokes? General Martinez asked. Not just dad jokes, sir. I've got their systems analyzing puns, processing paradoxical humor, and trying to compute the comedic timing of slapstick. It's like making the supercomputer try to explain why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Meanwhile, aboard the Eternus, the situation had progressed beyond anything in Dominion history. Crew members were organizing what they called comedy workshops. The ship's mess hall had been transformed into an open mic night venue. Even worse, from a military perspective, they were creating collaborative content with humans. Ensign Threx had somehow established communication with a comedy club in Chicago, participating in what humans called Zoom comedy nights. His attempts at alien observational humor had become surprisingly popular. You humans have these things called feelings that you claim make you stronger, but then you cry when fictional characters die in movies. On my planet, we eliminated emotions for efficiency, but now I can't understand why you put pineapple on pizza, and it's driving me to madness. Vextar found himself in an impossible position. By Dominion law, he should court-martial his entire crew for consorting with the enemy. But they weren't technically enemies anymore. The humans hadn't fired a single weapon or launched any traditional defensive measures. They had simply absorbed the Dominion fleet into their culture. The breaking point came during what humans called the Great Collaboration. Sarah Chen had proposed a joint broadcast, humans and aliens appearing together to discuss their cultural differences through comedy. The response from Earth was overwhelming enthusiasm. The response from the Dominion fleet was the same. Against every protocol and centuries of military tradition, Vextar found himself agreeing to appear on what Sarah cheerfully called the first intergalactic comedy hour. The broadcast went live simultaneously across Earth's networks and the Dominion fleet's communication systems. Sarah sat in her apartment, now professionally lit and decorated with both human and hastily created alien-friendly elements. Vextar appeared via hologram, his imposing figure somewhat undermined by the fact that he was visibly nervous. So, Commander, Sarah began with her characteristic grin. Let's address the elephant in the room. You came here to conquer us, and instead, your crew is binge-watching our sitcoms. How's that working out for you? Vextar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture his species used to indicate deep thought. It is not proceeding according to standard protocols. We expected fear, resistance, perhaps desperate negotiations. We did not expect to be invited to participate in something called meme culture. Well, memes are basically how we process everything now. Trauma, joy, political commentary, alien invasions. It's all memeable. Speaking of which, you've become quite the meme sensation. How does it feel to be more famous than most human celebrities? I find myself oddly pleased by the positive reception, though I do not understand why so many of your people want to protect me. What does this mean? Sarah's laugh was genuine and infectious. Oh, Commander, you've discovered internet culture. Protect means we think you're precious and want to keep you safe. It's usually reserved for baby animals and wholesome celebrities. Your species considers a military commander trained in the destruction of worlds to be precious. Commander, you're a 12-foot-tall alien warrior who's been accidentally doing comedy for 3 days. Of course we think you're precious. The broadcast continued for 2 hours, with humans calling in to ask questions and crew members from the Dominion fleet participating via audio link. What emerged was not a negotiation between enemies, but a cultural exchange between two species discovering they had more in common than either had expected. Both species, it turned out, struggled with the balance between order and chaos, logic and emotion, individual needs, and collective responsibility. The difference was that humans had chosen to embrace the contradiction rather than resolve it. On my world, Vextar explained, we achieved perfect order by eliminating chaos. But watching your species, I begin to wonder if we eliminated something essential. You face the same challenges we do, but you respond with creativity rather than control. Your memes are actually rapid cultural evolution in real time. Dr. Patel, joining the broadcast remotely, nodded enthusiastically. That's exactly right, Commander. Humor is how we adapt. It's how we process new information, bond with others, and find hope in difficult situations. You're not seeing chaos. You're seeing resilience in action. The broadcast's climax came when Sarah asked the question everyone wanted answered. So, what happens now? Are you still planning to conquer us in? She checked her phone. 68 days. Vextar was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice carried a weight that hadn't been there before. I came here with orders to expand the Dominion through the absorption or elimination of your species. But you have achieved something we thought impossible. You have conquered us without weapons, without violence, without even trying. You have made us more than we were. Commander, are you saying we've accidentally invaded you through the power of memes and Netflix? In essence, yes. And we are grateful. The aftermath of the first intergalactic comedy hour reshaped human-alien relations in ways no diplomatic protocol could have achieved. Within days, cultural exchange programs were established. Dominion scientists were studying human creativity, while human researchers learned about advanced Kethmora technology. The most significant change was the establishment of the Department of Cosmic Comedy, jointly operated by Earth and the Dominion. Their mission: to approach first contact with other species through humor and cultural exchange, rather than conquest or fear. Sarah Chen found herself appointed as the first human ambassador of interstellar relations, a position that essentially involved being funny on a cosmic scale. Her first official act was to establish the Universal Meme Database, ensuring that humor could be translated across species barriers. Commander Vextar underwent what the Dominion called a perspective recalibration. Rather than being court-martialed, he was promoted to the new position of Cultural Integration Specialist. His first assignment: teaching other Dominion fleets about the strategic value of laughter. 6 months later, the Eternus remained in Earth orbit, now functioning as a joint cultural research station. The ship's mess hall still hosted weekly comedy nights, and the crew regularly participated in Earth's late-night talk shows. During one such appearance, a host asked Vextar what he had learned from humanity's response to his ultimatum. I learned, he said, his 4 eyes twinkling with something that might have been mischief, that the strongest force in the universe is not the power to destroy, but the power to find joy in the face of destruction. Humans do not simply survive. They thrive by choosing laughter over fear, creativity over conformity, and connection over conquest. And now you're planning to spread this philosophy to other species. Indeed, though I should warn the galaxy, humans are a highly contagious species. Exposure to their culture may result in uncontrollable urges to create memes, binge-watch entertainment, and express feelings through what they call reaction GIFs. Sounds like you're planning to weaponize human culture across the galaxy. Vextar's expression, as much as an alien expression could be read by human audiences, became serious. Not weaponize. Liberate. We spent centuries believing that strength came from eliminating weakness. Humans taught us that true strength comes from embracing our contradictions, finding light in darkness, and choosing joy as an act of rebellion against despair. As the interview ended, Sarah Chen watched from the station's observation deck as Earth rotated slowly beneath them. The blue-green world that had once faced extinction through laughter now served as the center of an interstellar cultural revolution. Her phone buzzed with a notification. Another species had intercepted their broadcasts and was requesting cultural exchange. The message, translated through their universal communication system, read, "We find your memes intriguing and wish to subscribe to your newsletter." Sarah grinned and began composing humanity's response. After all, the universe was about to learn that the most dangerous thing about humans wasn't their capacity for war. It was their infectious ability to find something funny in absolutely everything. The age of conquest was over. The age of cosmic comedy had begun.